What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another podcast with us here at the Shadows Abound channel. We are today talking about some of the controversy going around the show Ghost Adventures and Mr. Zak Bagans.
Zak Bagans.
However you say his name.
It's Zak Bagans.
Yeah. So Chris and I were talking about kind of some of the stuff that was going on, but he had a lot of points, and I said, we should talk about it on the podcast and see what everybody else thinks too. So he was bringing a lot of stuff to my attention I didn't even know about. So we were recently speaking about, the guy from the show, the Demons of Seattle episode on the show. What was he talking about?
Well, so there's like 4 years of content and claims legally in the town that they're in Seattle for the person that owned the house before him, proving, without a shadow of a doubt, it could be haunted. Which he has his own evidence on his own YouTube.
What guy is that again?
His name's Keith Linder.
Okay.
So he's still the homeowner, and it was him and his wife and a child, but they made sure that the child wasn't anywhere while recording for this episode. But he's got evidence of his own, including those people that own the house before him, that it is haunted. And the controversy is the way that Zak for Travel Channel or someone within Travel Channel, as far as management is concerned, had that episode edited to the point where they didn't find any evidence at all. And it was about a 45-minute episode.
So you think it was actually fake, or?
See, that it's one of like 4 episodes where they like made that label in the title as it aired. No evidence found.
Because Demons of Seattle sounds like they found demons in Seattle, so I figured they would be finding something.
But nope. And the controversy is that the actual owner has all this evidence against that claim.
And it was never faked?
And it was never faked.
Huh. So what's going on with that now? Are people going after Zak because of that?
Well, so the biggest thing was there's still some fans that are overly protective of Ghost Adventures, and they were getting on social media, reposting and resharing that episode from February 28th, 2015. They'll reshare it as of a couple months ago, put a clip of it on TikTok or whatever, and have in the title or in the comments, hey, they faked this and they faked it on purpose. Leave Zak Bagans and Ghost Adventures crew alone, or, you're a liar, or... I guess
people just top fans, basically.
Yeah, and random people, because he was also making the claim that, like, on his personal Facebook and the Facebook and Twitter of his wife, that they would, like, bash his wife for no reason. And she's only in that episode for maybe...
They were bashing Keith's wife, or is that...
Keith's wife.
Well, Zak's not married, right?
No.
Okay.
Well, he's got another girlfriend now.
So, I don't know much about the whole... paranormal celebrity drama, I guess you could call it, or controversy, or anything going on as far as like day to day. I hear things, see things, watch videos, but I don't stay up to date as much as he does, so he knows more. But from what I've been seeing, Zak has basically been stopping people from creating other shows and having a controlling hand in networks and blocking people from being creative in the paranormal world. And then like he's saying, these people that are still protecting him. So there's a lot of he said, she said going on.
Yeah, and the way that it looks, though, is like, one of these, fake claims will go up against him. And then something positive that has some, I guess you'd say, information proving it, that it's positive and not negative, happens. So kind of like...
Proving that...
Like he did, or a function is proper and not negative. So, like, you could say it looks like in the media's light that he kind of ripped off the idea for his haunted museum, for Ed and Lorraine Warren's museum that they had, but
yeah,
there's certain things that don't make it the same.
Which that show creeps me out in general. So I'll pause real quick.
Yeah.
He knows how I feel about Zak Bagans. Like, I watched Ghost Adventures when it first came out, and then the whole Nick, him leaving situation kind of just threw me off. And all of a sudden I start watching Zak Bagans and whatever you say his name. And people say it like 10 different ways. You start watching Ghost Adventures again, he's got glasses on. It's after the Demon House situation, which we'll get to that too. But he's always kind of there's a part of it that's like weirded me out a little bit. Like you can tell or sense how people are.
Yeah.
And you can almost sense how they are through the TV, like who they are in real life. And that's why when Nick got taken off the show, like Nick seems like out of the three, he's the most like actual structured, sensible, and most intelligent and not fake person out of the group.
He tries to present himself in the most realist way, no matter what he's doing. Yeah. Like he's working and he presents himself as himself in the work. Yeah. And then same for his daily life with his wife now Tessa, and they have a baby boy.
Which is how we are. We're trying to be real with everybody and be who we are. So
I mean, the fact that he has his wife, who's a well-known medium, wrapped up in his new projects and ideas he had in the past. So in that time, let's say right before the exit from the show, he was kind of dating her, but they were friends first and work colleagues. So he had side projects that he was allowed to do, because the other controversy about him in the show was that I guess Zak made him sign something that was not going to allow him legally to do anything else. Yeah, which is false. Including some of when it happened stuff in the media and with fans, they were trying to say that he was fired. He wasn't fired. He literally walked away after a phone call.
Oh. So back to the museum. That's where I was going.
Museum.
My bad.
Sorry.
I do have ADHD. My bad. So I watched a couple episodes of the museum, and I was sitting there like, every show that this guy touches, every movie that Zak touches, is overly freaking edited.
Oh, and that's the thing with that show, though. That he's got Eli Roth directing and producing it. So it's
that was the one show.
Two over-the-top guys working together.
He's got one show I think I just saw recently where he's like actually in the museum, and then there's one where it's like the most haunted items that Eli Roth and him direct or something or do, or they do like fake stories. Yeah. Reiterated or whatever they do. But the museum one where a person brings in an item and he's like sitting there in his little chair like this, and he's like, "Come hither, yes, come here." And then he acts all like weird, like they bring in like this what is it? The chest from World War II, where
the divot box.
Yeah, the divot box. They bring in the divot box, and he's like, "Oh yes, the divot box. I'm here. Oh, I've been waiting forever." Like
he's actually worse than that. So,
and then the spiked gel hair.
When he purchased the last painting from Charles Manson, which apparently in the paint had his ashes in the paint for the painting, the way he was acting while trying to purchase it, I don't know how much he actually spent because they blocked that out. But the way he was acting, like it was like the next biggest thing for the museum, and he had to have it right now. No one else is allowed to buy it, and there's supposed to be some special bids with the purchasing, so that I could support, positive members of the family with Charles Manson. That's the stuff that started making me think twice about him. That and the fact that you're looking at a property that already has some darkness around it. It's a property that dealt with Scientology outside of Las Vegas, and then
are you talking about the museum?
The museum, the property, and then it's connected to a famous murder with a doctor from Las Vegas, and then after that,
who's that?
It was abandoned for 15 years. I forget the guy's name. It's in one of the first episodes of his show, and then they also aired information about his museum in season 19, episode 6 or 7. It's in a couple episodes there too. But then it stays abandoned for 12 years before he purchased it, and then somehow he presents information, and the controversy about that was that he faked the information, but it was supposed to be
trying to direct
used for Satanism or something. It was abandoned, and they found this kid in there, and he was doing satanic rituals.
So there's a video I found on YouTube. I can't remember the two guys' names, but I think they're editing people or directing people that basically they do a lot of films, and they watch and they kind of judgment on things. But they were talking about Ghost Adventures, and the one dude was ripping the show apart. It was hilarious, but he was talking about how the Halloween special where they were doing it live, I think it was Dracula's Castle or something.
Yeah, I remember.
Something like that. But the priest or whoever walks up and he whispers to Zak, but they had it on camera. And he was like, "I don't know if it'll be this part for your script or not, or if this part would be good enough for your script or some shit like that." And he kind of walks away, and Zak's like, because like they're on camera, it's live.
Yeah, and it wasn't supposed to happen.
And the fact that he said script, everybody was like, oh, you know, like that meme with Leo and the beer, like that shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
They kind of got like that.
Well, I mean, so there's,
I'll try and link it.
I mean, there's a lot of stuff behind that too, right? So there's things you're forced to do after, like, because it's the same rule, like when you own your own business, your first year, you're not going to be able to pocket any of the money you're making. Sometimes not even 2. You're supposed to pay all the workers and all the work done first before you pocket the money. So this goes with something has to be scripted a certain way for the execs to feel like this is what you do to get it on TV. So it's a great episode or a good episode.
He scripts everything. And I think that was the main problem with that show, was that they had so many freaking episodes stashed into a season that it's like you'd have to find content or material to throw in there, you know, but still him over scripting I think didn't help.
Well, I mean,
because you could tell it's.
I mean, part of the problem with that too, though, is like everyone knows at a certain point that he was doing a lot of his own work. But I want to say it doesn't get in a certain style or looks blatant until like after season 7 or season 8, and that's the network going, you've been here this long, we got to keep this going. Well,
there was one thing I was watching. So sometimes Discovery Plus, which is where all the paranormal shows are on, or most of them, we leave the TV on sometimes. You know, she mainly leaves it on like murder cases or whatever when we're sleeping. So I wake up in the middle of the night to somebody being like, "We found the bullet in the backyard," and blah blah blah. You know. But this morning I woke up to, for some reason, Ghost Adventures top 10 like funniest moments or scariest moments or whatever, and they had found, I don't even remember where it was at, but it was him and Aaron and somebody on the show. They had found a piece of evidence that they said, you know, Aaron's like, oh, he's like, we found this piece right here. It's a couple words or whatever. And so they said it, and it was all jumbled. Like, you didn't actually hear anything intelligible. And all they said in the subtitles was male voice. So they didn't even say, like, he had actually said something or what it sounded like. And the lady was like, she goes, "That's River Phoenix." And Aaron goes, "Yeah, I heard that." And he goes, "Yeah, I heard that." And she goes, No, it sounds like his voice." And he goes, "Oh." So, like, as soon as I saw that, I was like, hold up. And then right after they go, "Oh, well, this time it says a whole sentence." And they do the same thing again. It's like, no words, nothing intelligible, just sounds.
I forget the name of the place.
Like, I can hear it.
But it's that bar on
Viper
Sunset
or
Strip.
something. Yeah.
Viper's Room.
Yeah.
And it's dealing with something that Johnny Depp did, being close with River Phoenix, who is Joaquin Phoenix's brother. River Phoenix is the blonde dude that's kind of like running the group in...
Was it Stand By Me he was into?
Yes. That's the movie I'm bringing up.
But it's like, it was weird because she was...
Will Wheaton plays the skinny guy that writes stories, and he's the one in the movie writing the story about this big chunky guy that gets picked on. He's at a food competition, and something happens where he eats the pie and he vomits, making all of the crowd vomit. And he's standing there laughing.
Classic movie, go watch it.
Good movie.
But no, she's like, "Oh, that sounds like River Phoenix."
I mean, I'm sorry I can't think of anything else River Phoenix did. But the family itself has some controversy too.
Yeah.
So.
But no, she goes, "Oh, it sounds like River Phoenix." And so Aaron, I guess, thought that it was the words River Phoenix. That's why he was like, "Oh yeah, I heard that." And then she goes, "No, it sounds like him, like the actual dude." And then he's like, "Oh, all right, yeah." Which Aaron already is kind of spaced out sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's kind of funny to watch him, especially his, reactions all the time he does. But for some reason...
Well, I mean, in the beginning, he was always the guy getting something...
Touching them or
fall
attacking
off
them
the
or
ground,
something. Yeah.
fall off the wall, and it would be thrown at him or happen near him, and he'd be like, "Oh, dude, did you see that?"
Which even
Did you hear that?
Even in their earlier stuff,
I feel like their content was more solid then.
it was somewhat. But now that I'm thinking about it, they were at this place where he was in the attic and it was Aaron by himself, and they had the static camera over here, and he's like sitting on a box or something, and in front of him, like 10, 15 feet away, you see something actually fall off and hit the ground. And he turns the opposite direction, and he goes, "Dude, oh, wow." And something over here falls, and it's a loud bang. So
I forget where they were. I know what you're talking about. It was
Yeah.
like this big 2x4.
No, it was like a fan or something that fell off in this episode.
Oh.
But it falls
There
off
you go. It
20
happens
feet
more
in
than
front
once.
of him. And then he goes like over here looking as if something fell over here. And I'm like, you can't tell me that you don't understand where directional sounds come from.
I mean, I want to say it happened to him with a feeling sensation too. So
I don't know.
they're in Ireland, and they're in that underground thing under the church for the Hellfire Club.
I remember that
And
one.
he's wearing the cloak. And he's talking about feeling the cloak being pulled from him in a certain way. But he's aiming this way, trying to show you while he's telling you it happened over here. Like you forgot the direction in which it happened to him.
Which that looks like
weird.
it's scripted.
Yeah.
Almost.
Or you're forgetting, where you're supposed to do it on key.
So
Things are sometimes have that written in, forced, implied. Something has to be implied, and then they go off of it.
which we never do that in any of our stuff. So anytime that we go through film, edit it or whatever, sometimes while we're there, I'll say like, hey, this would be a great shot for the video. Or I'd say, hey, let's, say this particular thing as far as like what we would say in an intro or, just trying to get our words together before we go in the place. Like that is the only thing that we ever try and work together to make it sound, decent. But we don't over edit. We keep a lot of the raw material in, or we try to anyway, which some people may like, some people may not. But I know that it's real. You know that it's real.
Yeah.
It's not super like dark film to where you can't see anything. It's not super edited to where it's like
We're not putting weird noises in the beginning that implies the fact that you're gonna get spooked out right away.
I'm not gonna throw in a bunch of if we go talk about a dead woman out of a well, I'm not gonna be throwing 500 images of a woman coming out of a well and a bloody
from the
dress
ring.
and
From the ring, she's
Yeah.
got the stringy wet
I'm
hair and a wet dress.
That's what I can't stand. Some videos you watch and it's like super over edited for no reason. And I was like, you didn't show anything what you're doing. You didn't show anything of your crew, your camera style. You didn't show what story you're going with or whatever. Like you didn't show any content. You just showed a bunch of edited images that have nothing to do with it.
See, so that's the problem too. Like you'll notice this trend where like on TV networks, something's telling them they have to sell the show in that way and in that style.
Which he did with Death House.
But then on like, social media, streaming apps, YouTube,
It's more
people
raw.
are asking to see the raw.
Yeah.
They want to see how things are happening. What pieces of devices do they do? What's the technique that they're using? What's the steps they're taking before they get to a location, or what's about the location?
Well, it's like we watched the Death House together, right?
Yeah.
And
Demon House.
the Demon House, whatever. It shows you how much.
In Gary, Indiana.
But literally, it's like every 10 seconds, he's showing that stupid goat guy walking down the steps. We get
For
it.
the inspiration, what are you supposed
It
to look
looks like something as a goat. We get it. You have shown the same goat walking down the same damn steps for at least 60 times this whole movie. And out of what, like an hour and a half or almost 2 hours of film?
Hour and 25 minutes.
Hour, something like that, hour and a half. We see
has
how
the
much
second one
footage
that
on the
has-
camera?
So he's got a second one too, where it's supposed to be like the B-reel stuff that he couldn't add in, and that
Which
was
some
another
people
hour
say-
and 45.
That him burning the house down was also to cover up a story.
You mean demolishing? Yes.
Yeah. Burning down, demolishing, whatever. He got rid of it. It's gone.
Excuse me. He kept the stairwell and he kept
The dirt.
20 like 2-pound buckets of the dirt that was under the stairwell,
Which is
because there was one last piece of what they were finding of these items with the priest that would prove someone was doing a sacrifice in a ceremony under the stairs.
Like,
They were trying to find all the pieces to turn off the curse that was causing the house and the property. And because they couldn't find that last piece, it was like an unsuccessful exorcism of the property.
Like for me, what I would have done is I would have carved out a slab of the stairs. I would have done a small little cube brick or something like that, like this big, and I would have kept just that portion. And I would have maybe kept a job debt, like Johnny Depp, I would have just kept that on the shelf somewhere. That's too much. You got to pay somebody to haul all that,
See, for
it all
me,
up.
he could have made more money off of,
take space up.
and or just let's get money out of the picture. He could have helped the whole scene behind the paranormal field by keeping the house and letting other people in the paranormal world
Go there.
come and visit it, come experience the things you're trying to say that you yourself experienced that
Just
doesn't
see.
quite match all the people that experienced it when they lived in the house.
But it's too dangerous.
So
Apparently. That's why he...
that's the one part I believe.
rid
I
of it.
really do believe, because in the beginning of the it was a documentary, so that's one reason why it was edited the way that it was. But in the beginning of it, he's got a phone call, and it's supposedly this director of famous horror films, telling him, "Hey, we can share this. I would like permission." And he sounds so positive, but then you get to hear how Zak's negative reply back to him is, "You're not gonna come over here. I don't need you threatening me." And I'm like, watching it, going, "But he wasn't threatening you at all. What's going on?" So that's the main thing why I believe he got it demolished, to keep someone else's
He kept it to himself, basically.
full control,
If I can't have it, you can have it.
which is like a narcissistic trait.
Very. That gel hair is also narcissistic. Which, what creeps me out the most about him is how he awkwardly hits on women on the show.
Yeah,
Like, women that will...
he's either overly sarcastic with them, or he's like touchy-feely,
awkwardly sarcastic, though.
throwing out all of like almost too much compliments that makes them feel weird.
Yes, and then it makes Aaron and Nick
Because you'll see
feel
them
weird.
on the film, on the recording for an episode.
And
The
the other
person
guys too.
reacts.
Yeah, no, that is weird. But he...
But there's certain episodes and certain things that have happened or that he's done that gives me physical goosebumps when I'm watching it at home.
I mean, some of
off
the
the
stuff I
app
feel
or
is
on
real.
TV.
I mean, you can't go into some of these places like they do, which, some of the most haunted places out there,
Yeah.
and you can't go in there and not get something. So
Or
I
like,
do
I mean,
believe some of it is real.
A lot of it is where you can look up the property. The property was famous before they decided to go.
Yeah.
And the information that you look up is the proof.
Yeah.
So you're like, damn.
Which, I mean,
I knew a little bit about the Gary, Indiana house before he wanted to go there and purchase it, sight unseen, and then film the documentary on it.
yeah.
Which there's controversy he's like not allowed to bring up or something with Discovery Channel. It was the way that he was gonna do the documentary. They didn't want to air it on the TV channel right away. And first, it wasn't supposed to be a documentary. It was supposed to be a season that they couldn't work on. A whole season, about 10 or 12 episodes. And for some reason, Discovery Channel was like, no. So he had to go and make it in the documentary, keep things separate from the TV channel. There was a whole pause on them being on Discovery Channel. So at the time, it was one of the weird Halloweens where they didn't have a special. They took like a 4-month gap when they used to be only like 2 or 3 months apart.
They had Halloween specials until at least a couple of like seasons in. I remember that.
They did them a lot continuously. Then they stopped for a year and a half, and then did them again. They kind of died out, and then COVID stopped them from doing it completely for some reason.
Yeah. I mean, they got a lot of cool episodes on there, and it is funny to watch them go through some of the stuff. But it's just you see how people feel about him with how he looks now compared and like what he's done. And the thing that messes with me most is the fact that he's had Destination Fear, and then he's had what is the other show you were telling me about?
Well, no, Destination Fear is his someone that used to work for him's show, Dakota.
Well, yeah, no, I'm talking about the other guy. So Nick did another show, Ghost of Shepherdtown.
Yeah, well, he did Ghost of Shepherdstown,
Paranormal Lockdown.
Paranormal Lockdown with the chick from Paranormal State,
Yeah.
Katrina.
Which all those got, and apparently Zach has had his hands in that.
Ended after 2 seasons.
Yeah.
Well, Paranormal Lockdown was in the middle of their 3rd, and then it kind of stopped.
Because you had Nick come out and he had a video of him talking about a lot of the controversy, and then you had the other guy from Ghost of Shepherdstown. I can't remember his name.
I got his name. Hold on.
I almost want to say it's Chris, but I don't think it is.
I got it. It's down here. Bill Hartley.
Bill Hartley. Okay.
So he's like
we took notes today.
he was the he was a tech specialist, and then like like the expert on all the tech that the show was going to be using. So he was their tech guy. And he had other projects. Like he was working on
Big
stuff
Star Wars fan.
that would extend it into the show would have had second or third seasons just in that one location.
Which he did a video talking about the controversy and everything going on between what he thought with Nick and Zach and his shows and stuff, and he talked about how basically Goes to Shepherdstown they didn't really think was going to go past the season, and then people loved it and it started picking up more, and then he was doing season 2, and then he was kind of waiting around for the future after a while, and they just had him on a hanger and left him out to dry basically.
In the middle of filming season 2, he said they for all of a sudden stopped calling him back, stopped calling Nick back, and then they were like, hey, we want to have you, but not Nick, and we're changing the name of the show. And then the location and the name of the show is changing. So then it slowly turned into Ghosts of, but it was never the same thing at the same location. Yeah. And they were supposed to try to make it seem like the connect the dots was still related. And then it trickled down to just the scenario that they're going to use for investigations was the only reason why it was connected to the first season. So then it turned into Ghosts of, not Shepherdstown. It was a totally different town with like a river running in the middle of it.
It feels like anybody who's friends with Nick too gets kind of axed or gets canceled. So I don't know if it's just he's trying to make his life miserable, because there are people out there saying what Nick is saying is not true, but honestly, with the way that everything ended,
like a weird counterpoint to both things was the fact that Dakota from Destination Fear, yes, used to work for him. Won a contest back in season 12 or 13 where to answer the contest you had to do your impersonation of him of the original intro to their show, and if he liked that version of it you were able to
did he wear the same kind of shirt
yes,
the bejeweled crosses and everything,
dressed perfectly like him, did his hair like him, did a whole voiceover where he sounded like him, and that's what got him to win.
Fashion on earth.
But he got a job for up until 2 years ago where he was one of his extra cameramen, and then got his girlfriend to work with Zach as well. His girlfriend was the chick where they filmed the episode for Devil's Bridge in Texas, or Goatman's Bridge.
That'd be cool to go to. No,
and then for some reason, so Dakota said, no, Zach is not the reason why our show for right now doesn't look like it's getting canceled. It may get canceled because they're still in the middle of this shareholders meeting, mergers with the app and for the network. And certain shows are getting axed if they haven't been there for so many years or have so much viewership on so many episodes, when he's already getting the rights to another show he's going to work on anyways. But he did respond to the fact that Zak Bagans is negative with people. He's very narcissistic. He's very sarcastic.
Controlling and all that.
So it's like a counterpoint against one and a tick for another one. So
Gotcha.
He confirms that he's not close with them anymore. He doesn't like to deal with them personally.
Which they're doing YouTube stuff now, right? Now that the show's canceled, Destination Fear.
Some of the guys separately. So like Dakota and his sister, yes. The third guy that was like his close friend from school, I don't know what he's doing. He was his like tech guy, so I don't know. I know he was like electrician and stuff, so some of the tech he was doing he makes himself, so I would assume he's doing that.
Well, I feel as if the direction of how people are going now with YouTube versus the networks, they're probably seeing how things are getting controlled in a manner to where shows are starting and then stopping quick. People are getting excited, starting their life in this new chapter, and then it gets axed or taken away from them because one guy's at the top controlling everything. I feel like a lot of people are going to move to YouTube. Like, I think Nick did too, right?
Yeah, so he's got...
Him and his wife?
He's got his show Death Walkers, which is only on the UK version of Travel and Discovery Plus. And he's got a YouTube channel for him and his wife. But she's an executive producer on his Death Walkers show. So it's like she's in all of his projects together anyways.
But they do it together. It's family, and nobody can take it from him, basically. Yep. Unless they say something.
He's producing it. He's editing it. He's got his other friends and relatives working cameras.
Yeah.
So he's got to say. He doesn't have an executive behind him for some weird network. He's got most of the control that he wants, that he said, in both projects. So.
which is, we talked about how we were going to do things, and the main reason we went to YouTube starting out was because that we knew we could get our content out there, we could reach other people that were like-minded, and something we've been doing for close to 20 years. We were able to actually like say, hey, you know what, let's film now, let's put it out there or whatever, and see what pops up. And the fact that we get to have control, and we don't have to worry about trying to squabble around and make a documentary or do this, but like we get to just be us. We get to do what we love to do, and other people get to hang out with us, and we've networked so far already, and
things are unlocking.
It's at our pace. Yeah.
It's unlocking. Doors are opening at our pace, like he said. Yeah. Things are going positively so far.
We've already met some cool people.
We've already said to each other, like, hey, this is the career we want to do. We don't want to do our day jobs that we have.
Yeah.
So,
but we get to do things our way, which nobody ever wants to work a 9 to 5.
No.
But the fact that we get to, when I say creative, I don't mean as in we write scripts or fake anything. I meant creative as we get to push as much content as we want out. Yeah. Control the content we're putting out.
When it goes out.
Like we started doing reactions recently. We were like, hey, let's do some more. People like it. Podcast, we went ahead and updated everything towards visual now. So that's a big, upgrade right there.
Oh, yeah.
Which we forgot to bring the lights and stuff that we were going to put in today.
We got some amazing lights that would probably, get this looking where we want it to be.
I'll add a picture on the screen. I'll add the link in the video of what we're going to put in here, but it's those Govee floor lamps. Not advertising. We're not sponsored. I just thought it'd be cool to put them in here.
No, but if you want, Govee, representative for them, comment down below.
There you go. But no, it's just the fact that we get to do things at our pace, control what we're doing, what we're putting out there, and we're able to slowly connect with other people, other paranormal groups, which we've done so far. Excuse me. And be able to do that, that's already awesome to us.
So he does 100% of the editing.
Yes.
And then just recently we're both trying to do the review together of when we're having an EVP recording. We both sit down and listen to it. The only script that happens is, me writing down bullet points for a topic we're going to talk about in something like this.
Yeah.
Or me looking up destinations for where we want to go. Or people that we're trying to contact to go to that place. Yeah. That's it.
Which, I get the fact that network shows like Ghost Adventures have to take so much film and swap it down to 45 minutes worth of content, and that 45 minutes, maybe 10 minutes of it is actually like filming and EVPs. The rest of it is them talking to interview people and going and filming the location and talking and setting the story up and editing this and editing that. So with us, most of the content we get, I may find, as an example, 30 EVPs in an area over 2 hours, but I'm like, let me take the best of what came out, what's the most intelligible, the most that gave me goosebumps, the most it's like, holy crap, and I try and put that
the ones you can understand, the ones that are clearer.
Because there are times we get EVPs to where I'm sitting there I have the volume all the way up, I've done this, done that to try and scan out certain filters with sound, and I might hear half a word, I might think it's this, but I'm just like, you know what, I've got 20 more, so I'm just going to show those. Yeah. So there are times that I do leave out, I guess you could say, evidence of what we find. But we've heard stuff in other languages we don't understand. Right. We've heard demonic chanter or whispering. And I'll be honest, when you edit, for so long, or like he said, he'll sit there with me and listen to stuff. When you listen to stuff over and over and over, there are times to where you got to take a break, because you'll start hearing things in the background, and that might have something from you messing with that world too much. Right. I think just as a side thing.
But, but depending on how sensitive you are, and then you also have the effect where, like, how some people get nose blind to smells, or you being able to use their nose, your ear can have fatigue just like that as well. Yeah. You gotta it's been an hour and a half of.
Oh my God, yeah.
Let me take a break.
That right there, I will tell you, some nights I go to bed and I'll be sleeping and I hear, and I'm like, oh my God. So,
Well, I mean, that's like if you're used to your phone having a vibrating setting for notifications and it sits in your one pocket all the time, and then you take a break from it for a while, a couple days, and you don't have it on you, and you start having like a muscle ticker.
you still feel
Make you think it's happening in your pocket,
no, I
but
have
it's
that.
not.
And you know what? I have that in my always because I have like my shorts. You know, I put my phone in there a lot walking around at work, and sometimes I'll be at the desk in the office and I'll like put the phone on there, and then my leg spasms and and I'm like, oh yeah.
Or like your muscles like flicking or flinching. Yeah.
Yeah.
Same.
But no, getting back to kind of what everything is going on with Zak and Ghost Adventures. I mean, what kind of messes with me right now, like I've noticed they do the house calls and stuff. I feel like he should be there with the crew. Weird.
Yeah, that's a weird thing that he didn't really continue that. It's only 4 episodes.
Yeah.
And
like
he's
done so much. Like he's done. You go on Discovery Plus, and it's like everything you scroll down. It's a top 10. This. It's a movie here. It's a documentary. It's this. It's this. And I'm like, dude, let somebody else like.
He even had like a TV show during lockdown from COVID, and it was him in his movie theater room in the Haunted Museum, and they kept each other where each person was watching old episodes 6 feet apart, which was 12 seats from each other. It was just them 4. Why have 10 episodes of you watching old content and reviewing them?
That's just overplayed stuff, basically.
Nothing new. He could have been talking about stuff in the museum, really. Which
is why, you look at stuff like that, and it's like I said, they put way too many freaking episodes in a season. You got to think, 21, 22 seasons right now, or more? I don't know the exact number, but it's in the 20s.
Older seasons had like 25, but yeah, certain seasons now are 21 or 22. Now?
It's like 20-some seasons.
21 or 22.
And so you do 20-some episodes, that's like what? 400 episodes or something crazy, something like that. I don't know if I did the math right, but you do so much content, it's hard to, you're going to eventually go back to places like Bobby Mackey's for the 5th time, or, because you just have to keep going back to somewhere that you've done before.
Which they did. They did Bobby Mackey's twice.
A lot of networks do that.
It seemed to be his favorite place to go was that town in Las Vegas where they're from.
Well,
they went
local.
They went to each one of those places 3 times. And on the second time, the guy that would play this town's old-timey sheriff, because it was a cowboy town,
they dressed up like it and all that. I died laughing when they dressed up in Gettysburg. Oh, my God.
That was a funnier episode when they did Gettysburg. I feel like they should have went there twice and they didn't.
Just the reactions of him getting shot and, like, fake battle and stuff. And shooting and, all right, boys, got it, blah, blah, blah.
So he overplayed that because he was thinking by doing that, he would get attention on the other side and getting the ghost to come out.
They were just like, man, you got shot as soon as somebody looked at you. Nah, you're nothing. They're like, man, I'm going to go fight that guy over there. I'm going to go sit on that painting and stare at y'all for a while.
Crazy stuff.
Well, that's why we talked and we were like, hey, let's do extra stuff content-wise for the channel. So we started saying, hey, let's go doing abandoned buildings. And the reason we wanted to do that was because, of course, we like watching that kind of stuff ourselves and exploring the history of places. And we thought, why not add ghost hunting to the end of it? So, it was something a little bit more different than what most people do. I mean, there's a few people that kind of do it, but not a lot. Not a lot of well-known people.
No. There's like, out of like 40 of the top earners for YouTuber, 3 or 4 do that.
For the paranormal world?
And paranormal / abandoned.
Yeah. Well, it's also, it's...
So like to name drop, you got like Exploring with Josh. You got Steve Ronan. And then you have the Explorers, and they just spell it with an X. Those are the top 3.
Well, they
and a couple of them went to some locations here where we're from, so in Virginia.
Yeah, I think I've seen a couple of those. But it's also the fact that we get intrigued by the place that we're in. So it's like, if it has a spook factor, should we come back tonight and check it out? Which I don't know when I'll be putting this video out, but today is the 29th of April. So the 30th, we are going to an abandoned house that was, weather permitting, built in the 1840s. It's going to be in Cumberland, Virginia. We are super excited about it. It looks like a
the house on the hill
murder
that was
house, yeah.
behind the Bates's motel in Psycho.
Yeah, it looks like a murder house. So we're excited. And I'll put the picture on the YouTube channel, but during the day I snapped a photo and you saw faces in the windows. Excuse me.
I wonder if any of mine then, because I took a lot. I have like 6 or 7 of the front from different angles.
Because I didn't even know that I caught that. So I took the picture.
So did you catch it, or was it your dad that saw it first, and then you were like, oh?
So I sent it to my dad because he loves history and all that kind of stuff too. And he told me, he was like, yeah, did you see that face in the window? I was like, stop it. And I zoomed in, and sure enough, it was like 3 different windows had faces on it.
My sister's like that with me. So she did a haunted tour thing with your sister a couple years back. They were at this famous location that used to be Virginia's capital for the whole United States, I believe. And it's a famous white building, and like it's got 3 stories, but the front of the building there's like a row of like 21 or 22 windows, and just on the far left side, like certain rows of windows going all the way up, there was something in each window. And she was like, here's this picture, did you see anything in any of those windows? And, you know, and I'm looking at the picture, trying to flick it up, opening it, and I was like, yeah, there's one here, one there, one there. And she was like, yeah, we saw it there, we felt something there.
That's crazy.
I was like, wow.
You know, it'd be really cool in Virginia or even in Richmond to go do that's abandoned. Richmond Coliseum.
Yeah. Richmond Coliseum.
It's a big staple in Richmond. That'd be really cool.
Browns Island.
Yeah, but I mean the fact that not a lot
Isle.
of people get in the Coliseum. Only a few people have done it.
So that tells me it probably has the same like lockup system that Belle Isle has.
There's a fence going around it that says you have to call us to get an entrance. So they don't let a certain amount of people in, or a few people in, that have documented stuff on YouTube, I think. So that'd be really cool to go in and do. Because, you know, there's got to be
something there.
Or at least even just the abandoned factor.
Yeah.
So, but no, we were talking about, you know, back to the content stuff. We were like, let's do abandoned buildings. We do our normal investigations. You know, there's a lot of cemeteries here in Virginia, so we're like, why not do some walkthroughs on that if we find them? You know, a lot of historic places here. We said, let's do stuff like that. We were talking about the reaction videos. You know, we love watching those, so we were like, let's do our own. You know, it's
I mean, there's a lot of reaction videos I watch. There's like a lot of it for me is like music and exploring. So
no, it's really cool to have our take on it. So I'm excited to do that. But again, we get to do it at our own pace, which we're not forced by a network to do anything. So, and I'd rather do it that route anyway, because
I mean, it's crazy being, you know, I'm a slight procrastinator. You may be. I don't want to speak for you.
I just have major ADHD.
A network's going to give you deadlines, and I know the crazy deadlines.
Yeah.
And if you procrastinate, you can mess yourself up real fast.
Well, also, if they're like, hey, get on a plane or bus, and you're going to Nevada, and then you're going to, the whatever
where
states.
they go, you know,
US,
Utah.
Yeah.
They went to Utah, Colorado, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, taking him back to season 4, season 5, he was going to other countries. Pavolia Island in Italy.
Again, it would be cool to be able to go for free.
Yeah.
Never being like, here, go to Italy.
Yeah, here's the money for all the other cameras, you know. Here's travel money, food money.
That's, your
hotel.
The amount of money that we've already put into this project or, you know, this journey, you know, it's all, we worked our butts off to pay for it type deal. So we aren't able to go cross country or, you know, anything like that just of now. So we're starting out in our local state, Virginia, and then we'll be branching out and doing stuff. So I know there's quite a bit of places we want to go to in Virginia and, you know, West Virginia, North Carolina.
Yeah.
There's a couple places in Georgia. Florida's got a lot of crap we were looking at.
Yeah, definitely.
New York, that's got some stuff. Tennessee, Kentucky, Bobby Mackey's. We always wanted to go there.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, they're going to have great barbecue, great music, and Bobby Mackey's. music.
It's gonna be hard to hold a camera and trying to eat some barbecue ribs or whatever. Yeah. So can't turn that down. Just, but no,
I mean, I got my top 5, so like one of them would be where the Stanley Hotel is. You know, the original Shining, Stanley Kubrick's film. Great film. Great location. So.
What was the other top 5 that you got?
There's 13.
I don't think I ever made a list top 5.
There's 13 curves outside of. I'd have to ask my father. But it's like between Albany and Rochester, New York, where I'm from. It's like this one of those weird roads, which like talking about shows that were good.
Spirits on it and stuff.
Was it Jack Osborne had that show where they would investigate haunted like roads and locations. It's one of those. Something happens between the 11th and the 13th curve, and it's called 13 curves because it's like a really windy road. People died during the wagon era. Car accidents
He went there?
in the 40s. And he didn't.
Jack Osborne?
No.
Okay.
I guess it's not that famous. It should have been on his famous list, though. So, man. A famous place I don't want to bring up, but it's in West Virginia.
Why not? You said top 5. That's what, 2 places? You said Stanley Kubrick's place.
13 curves.
13 curves.
This place in West Virginia, that's 3.
Give me a hint.
It's a...
Because there's a place in West Virginia I'd like to go to.
This is an asylum.
Okay. What was the other two? You said top 5.
There's a weird location on Mount Evergreen here in Virginia. It's like on your way up past like Staunton, Virginia, and then a location in Staunton, Virginia itself.
So those are your top 5.
That's my top 5. Well, I mean, if I was going to add a 6th, I would say like the University, Charlottesville. But those last 4 are all Virginia, so.
I mean, those are more easily doable than.
Yeah. Well, I mean, my worldly top 5 would be like the vaults in Scotland.
Yeah.
The Hellfire Club location in Ireland.
I think
Scotland, Ireland, Norway, Finland.
I'd love to go to Norway. No, my top 5 I think would be Bobby Mackey's is of course on there, just to see what we would get. Because there's so many mixed. Feelings about the place.
Was it the rentable apartment up above?
Yeah.
It was for the caretaker at nighttime. That'd be one place that you'd want to check out inside there.
Yeah.
And then I would want to like investigate the drain.
Basement and all that kind of stuff.
In the basement where the person's head rolled in.
So I won't say 1 or 2, but top 5. So the next one would probably be West Virginia, the Mothman Woods. I'd like to go out there and take a peek. I think that'd be kind of cool. Pleasant Place or Pleasantville? I can't remember the name of it. So there. And
the bridge in the town is more famous than the actual woods, though.
Yeah. But the sightings where he's at would be cool to like just see what we get.
Well, that's the thing. So there was like a famous bridge right there, and it had like a 100-car pile up first. And then the bridge actually had a malfunction, like a breakaway from age in the 60s.
Yeah,
and then
that's where they first saw him, I think, in the 60s or something like that.
Each horrific thing happened. His sighting was in a photo of that bridge before something bad happened on it.
I think Gettysburg would be another one, just because of the history, and I'm guaranteed we would find something there.
Oh, yeah, and all the locations related to it, though. Like, we have some locations with Gettysburg here, the one in PA.
Hollywood Cemetery,
Yeah.
I don't know why I don't fancy going to a prison. And like, I would like to go to some of them, but I don't see that on my top 5. Like, I wouldn't be like Alcatraz. I don't know why.
Really? Because Alcatraz is like, I'd be excited.
I don't know.
The way that they created it, what happened there.
With how I am with
now.
stuff, I'd be like, when is this boat getting here? I've been sitting here baking in the sun way too long.
So
This
that
place
means
is boring.
but that means if that means if you don't like that, you're not gonna like a lighthouse location.
No, I mean, like, I would like to go, but it's not, out of all the places, not my top 5. I think 4 would be, it has to do with the woods again, but Wisconsin. All the stories you hear of the crazy crap out there.
Oh, the national parks and the Ozarks? Because that's part of the
I
Ozarks.
want to go see if they got the night crawlers out there. Yeah. And then 5, I want to go find some stuff in Alaska. I want to go to Anchorage.
Okay, I agree with that.
I want to go to Anchorage.
There's a lot of stuff with Anchorage. The missing 411 there. A weird, like, the 5-pointed star for this new thing that's happening with Bermuda Triangle.
The feeling, I think, that you would get there spiritually would be crazy.
Just to witness Aurora Borealis, you know, besides that.
Yeah. That might be more of a sightseeing thing than a paranormal thing, but, yeah. So, and then since you gave a 6th one, I guess I have to. A part of me has always wanted to do something in Louisiana. Like, go to, like, New Orleans or something like that. Go into that area. And
well, I mean, voodoo, Marie Laveau's plantation.
Mm-hmm. Something about the voodoo magic calls to me. I don't know why. Not to do it. I wouldn't do voodoo magic. But just, I don't know. Maybe it's also the hot sauce.
Because you said that, I would have that. That's my favorite place for food and stuff too. You can ask my wife about it. But you have so voodoo and its entrance in America. One of its entrances here, obviously, is through Louisiana, Baton Rouge, but then it's also South Carolina with the Gullah Gullah.
Yeah, that'd be cool to go do that stuff. So, kind of get back to where our topic is at hand. I decided to give you top 5. What is your take on this guy? As far as, do you think that everything that is being said about him is true? Do you think that everybody is trying to just dig dirt on him because they're mad that their shows got canceled? I mean, how do you feel about the whole ordeal?
I think it's 50-50, and here's why. There's not enough people saying he's the sole reason why their shows are getting canceled or their work career is getting affected by him.
Because they're scared? Or
no, I just don't think there's enough. So, like,
maybe
there's reaction videos being done trying to use the controversy as the content to get more famous. So, like, there's a video for one guy trying to say, I forget her name. She's Amy Bruni from Kindred Spirits. His whole thumbnail for his episode on YouTube was it making seem like she was coming out and going to say something negative about Zak Bagans. And there's screenshots of her Twitter saying she doesn't know the topic. She doesn't know Zak Bagans. She barely knows of the show when she was watching it herself before she was on any TV shows. But that her show is not connected to him at all. And she doesn't know where the next direction of her show is going after the stop with season 7 just being filmed and finished and aired before May. And then them trying to figure out the TV network's merger still.
Yeah.
So she's kind of like, I always do it as this episode that I'm making for my TV show can be the last. So I'm not going to be really explosive and bothered by it. I'll go on to the next, make another project, and keep on working. That's one reason. And then the big piece with Dakota's thing on him having a problem personally and how he reacts to people personally, but that his show did not affect his show. And he's another person saying the network and their merger is affecting my show and not stuff with Zak. And that's why I'm saying that. The only people that are saying it is Zak, or could be Zak, is the guy from Ghost of Shepherdstown who worked hand in hand with Nick on the show. And Nick had to work on that show because Nick, being on Ghost Adventures, wants to say that his personal life has been affected by Zak, but that he himself didn't get him off the show as his own choice.
There's also...
So you have, like, counterpoint against another counterpoint.
There's people out there like...
I want to say what's making it look bad is the fact that there's a thing with him and how he personally deals with people.
Yeah.
is what it is.
Well, that one chick, I can't draw her name right now, but you just said her recently. The one that was on Paranormal State.
Katrina.
Katrina, that's right. So she was on Paranormal State, and then she was on the show with Paranormal Lockdown with Nick, and then she did the show with Jack Osborne.
Portals to Hell.
Portals to Hell. So
and now she's doing her own thing on
she's
YouTube.
able to land on her feet constantly. So is she not poking the bear with Zach, or is she just stay away from him? Because I don't think she's really worked with him, has she? I don't think she was on Ghost Adventures.
No, never worked with Zach.
She just stayed away.
She's dealt with Nick,
but she's found a job.
Yeah, every time.
Where everybody else from Ghost of Shepherdtown, they're struggling. So the fact that she could even work with Nick and then still find a job
and have some success,
it looks like it's targeted, because, he's not saying, hey, blah blah blah.
But then you have other stuff coming against him in opportune times. This is the downtime where he's like trying to create the next part for their next season going to be aired, and he's got more than one show, so he's trying to put out 2 shows, all while I guess what they call the end of summer through fall comes in, because they like to air their stuff at the end of August through September, and then you have the Halloween, and then they'll take a break right before Christmas, and they'll come back after the New Year's, usually right before or on Valentine's Day. And then they break again that following year.
Which I think, I don't know. I think...
So when someone's not physically putting anything out, you can, like, air stuff, try to make yourself be more famous off of saying stuff during the time where someone takes a break. And you don't have Zach coming out confirming or denying anything. So you can keep saying whatever you want to say.
Pretty much. Which I feel like he would shut that down at some point.
If it was true or if it wasn't, and it affected him negatively or positively, he's the type of person that come out, do something about it right away.
I guess. I don't know. I think my personal vibe from him has always made me a little finicky on liking him as a person.
I mean, I like the show. So.
The show's it's what they call a guilty pleasure or whatever, but him himself, revolving around the controversy that's going on, I just kind of see it hand in hand with how he acts as a person, because you've seen him from the show at the very beginning. He had these little, he had these little tics where he was narcissistic or controlling, or he, awkwardly hit on the women in the show and stuff like that. And then as it went on and went on and went on, he was like, I'm top shit. And he got the glasses and the studded jacket. And it was always like,
if he didn't voice his, the way he was going to say something, like a line for the show, you'd still get it by how he was, reacting physically with his body is the only way I could describe it.
That, I didn't like how much he shushed everybody in the show. That always annoyed the hell out of me.
Yeah, he still does it. He cuts... I try to not do it on purpose.
Yeah.
I apologize. It's a mistake I do.
We would both do it.
But it's he does it purposely, where he's cutting you off.
But he does it like a dick. He'll hear dust over there, and somebody will literally be like, so I just saw him, shh, shut up.
What was that?
The guy could have been like, hey, I just saw Bigfoot for the very first time and got him on camera. I wanted to let you know, Zach. And he's like, shut up. The sound of dust over here is more important than what you just said and got on film.
Right.
And... seeing that so much, I was just like, that guy's annoying as shit. I don't know. Aaron was always just kind of goofy, and sometimes he'll be like, shh, no, hold on. But I just feel like that's his personality.
He kind of goes with the flow most of the time.
Yeah. And I think he's actually scared shitless half the time. And Nick would shush Zach, but I think he did it to get it back.
He was always the overprotective spiritual one.
Nick?
Aaron,
okay, yeah.
Nick was the one that was always trying to find a piece of evidence in the past to pull off of a real thing for the evidence.
He was
to get the evidence to be found.
He was trying to actually investigate. Yeah. And these 2 new guys,
they're not
for
new.
The show. Well, no, I mean newer on the show versus Nick.
You got one guy that literally did his video editing for him and worked cameras after the fact.
So they're more technical.
You have the other guy that was constantly working sound.
Yeah, so they're more on the technical side. I just don't like them. I don't know why. I don't know if I'm just so used to the original trio, and I'm like, I don't like anything changing. But it just... I saw them on the house call or whatever, and how we do things when we go to investigate, I don't know.
So you haven't watched the episode where they go to Tiger King's old location?
No, I watched
because they're
that.
there.
I watched that for like maybe half of it, and I was like, all right, I'm done. Because you know that he mainly went there for the connection of the Netflix audience.
Yes, but
It wasn't like, I've always wanted to come here.
Yeah.
This has always been in my top
but
5.
there was stuff there spiritually too. Like there's at
Yes.
least 3 counterpoints where you feel something.
Small stuff. Very small stuff. And it took him an hour to get the final,
Right. Like he's
the rest of it,
he was kind of grasping at straws. Yeah.
the entire freaking movie. I got bored with it. I was like, all right, whatever. I didn't really like Tiger King either.
Something with me, and we'll go back to it, his documentary Demon House. I've gone back to it, and even the second thing with the B-reel footage, at least 20 times each of them. And it's, I guess, the
What do you mean 20 times each one of them?
watch-throughs or playbacks.
You watched it?
Yeah.
You've watched it 20 times.
Yes. And I want to say it's because, one, yes, you can tell he probably knows what he's doing. So he's dived into a group of people where they're like me, and then there's another group. Me as in, he's constantly pushing the footage out of what the goat man looked to him and the camera guy he had working for him, how it affected them. And it'll affect someone else that's had a similar experience or witnessed that entity. And that's my problem. I've witnessed an entity just like that. Had a different reaction, but witnessed it. And I think he knows that. But then all the build-up, all the leading up stuff, like you can't fake a night watch warrant officer, stage 3 lieutenant on the police force for Gary, Indiana, saying, I had this happen, this and this happened, and I came out here because this many house calls were saying something's happening, and it now follows through my personal experience.
That one cop he had on that film was way up in everybody's business, way too much talking. He's kind of like when you go to a sports event or something like that. You know, like I coach football and basketball. So there's always an uncle there or something like that who tries to be the funny guy that's friends with everyone, who's always talking about every single play that happens. He's just overly, and that's what that one cop kind of reminded me of. You know, he was just overly like, hey, I'm here. I'm going to let you know I'm here. I'm going to talk a whole bunch. I'm going to tell you everything that happened. I'm your best friend. Hey, when we go get some barbecue. Like, he invites himself to the party. He kind of was like that.
Yeah.
And and he was retired too, I think. When he was like retired from
So
the
then you're
force.
not talking about the guy I was thinking, okay? Because the guy that was on film was in his uniform.
Oh, well.
So.
I don't know. I mean, there was a couple
I mean, there was another cop that worked with him that was on day shift and came out because he was also like the 911 responder for fire and rescue. So they had to call, believing they needed to contact fire and rescue for the town. So he comes out and he's like in his night job as, I guess, his side projects is he does sound editing. He makes edits and stuff. And he had something happen to him where it followed him home. And he's got security cameras at his house and recorded this thing in his house. I mean, literally has a recording of like it physically followed him home for the first night and stayed with him for months before he could get it to go away. So a lot of things happen that, besides me watching those things happen and having the goosebumps with each thing, there is nothing stacking that tells me that's legit. And maybe it was too legit for it not to be a season of their show and be an even overly edited documentary. So here's why he follows that equation, is the fact that that's how their first documentary that they created was edited. And that was the jump-off point for them. The following year the documentary aired, they now have this TV show they get to
Either
have.
that or he could have been trying to show everybody who's still boss type deal. You
That
know,
too,
like, hey,
that
I
too.
can still do the documentaries better than you can. The only time I ever felt goosebumps watching that was when they would show haunted images like the freaking goat man and stuff like that.
For a description.
And it's kind of like how you said you've seen stuff like that. And so when you see it on film, it's like you get a spiritual, emotional flashback and you're like, oh yeah, that one time 10 years ago, I saw that thing in the woods out in, So you get that flashback, and I think that's what gives you goosebumps to see it.
Yeah.
Which, if he knows something like that, he's pretty intelligent in a weird way, if you catch my drift.
Yeah.
But
something's telling him to, hey, this can hit an audience that has witnessed this.
But as somebody who edits everything, I edit in a way that I know it's not like other people. Like we were said, I keep it more raw and stuff like that, where people will literally throw in clips of a goat man walking down, and then they flash, and then it's another view of him closer, and then they flash again, and it's got red behind him, and he's
over the audio of us talking about what happened.
Image, and it's like different views or him walking in a certain motion, and so you get in your head, you're like, oh, it's a red background. Oh, it's scary. There's mist. Oh, that goat's coming down the steps. Oh, look, that's a close up. Oh,
so I mean, what started that was like old TV shows back even before Unsolved Mysteries, where they have to get this whole crew to do the video for the reenactment of the situation happening. So it's like the mother walked down the street and she has autism and went disappearing. We have yet to find her again. And the whole time the guy's saying that over him talking, they have the film of this old lady walking down the street real slow in slow motion, and then disappears going down the highway.
Well, here's the thing too. It's like it's almost like a cheat code, because you have a conversation with somebody who could tell a story really well. And it's almost like you're seeing it inside your head. You're like, oh, I could envision that. But you have Zach talking about stuff, showing what he's talking about in a whole different form. And if it was just us actually looking at Zach, like the camera on him, and he's in a chair just like, yeah, I saw a goat guy, like ruin my entire vision. Can't see without these things. You would just kind of be like, he has to over-edit crap for you to feel a certain way about stuff. I'm telling you.
I mean, I'll tell you why I'm laughing, all right? So my question for you is that the only thing you had a feeling of was you...
The whole movie?
Seeing... in the whole movie, the only thing that affected you or gave you goosebumps was his goat man images?
The only other thing that messed me up is because being a father, I don't like anything that messes with kids.
Right.
And we have seen it in person, exorcisms exorcisms happen, stuff like that at church. So Chris and I met each other at church. We won't go into the whole story, like freaking decades ago.
That's how we got into this, was church.
Yeah, our families were like, you would go to church, nothing else, and that's how we met. We've been friends and brothers ever since. So, anywho, going back to the story.
You're talking about the teenage girl.
The girl that they took to the church to get exercise.
So she's the granddaughter of the lady of the second family that was in the home before you bought it.
Seeing that, and then the emotions that she was going through, that the family was going through, like, it just brought me flashbacks. And also, I get emotional when I see kids getting messed with, because of the fact that you always have that thought of, like, what if that was my kid?
Yeah.
Or you envision, hey, that is my kid type deal, because you see your kid going, it's weird. It's
the innocence.
It's parental anxiety. Innocence. You
leave the children alone. Don't take their innocence away.
You see your kids get hurt, and then the next 10 years, you still see them getting hurt in that same situation. So, and you get worried. So
what was crazy about that was...
Those are only two things.
Really? The big connection with that was she touched one of the phenomenon happening. She goes to touch the sludge growing on the shade for the window. Shades. And then a week later of her doing that, she started having suicidal thoughts and had a weird reaction to the grandmother. And the grandmother was the one that contacted Zach because he had the priest working on the documentary. So he's like, okay, I know this priest has this church. We can help you.
Which is weird. It's like, how do they connect with him if this guy
he's been on
he can't connect?
Several episodes of their TV show before he used them for the documentary. Him and, you remember the short scientist that was using the EMF detector in the basement?
The guy that's in the episode of the Seattle, like, he kept saying, I was trying to contact him. Never got in contact. But everybody else can.
I don't know.
Bada bing, bada boom.
I don't know.
I
can't speak for that.
Yeah.
Because I know Keith was saying before trying to contact Zach directly, he was trying to contact the execs for the TV channel to get someone to work on the reposting of the airing of that show on their website. So
I'd say the one thing that threw me for a loop...
That's crazy. You have only 2. Like, how about the last 30 minutes of it? He's in the bedroom, and you see this dark thing rush towards him as he's trying to post the EVP recording of this weird growl coming at him.
I thought it was.
And he throws the flashlight.
I thought he was staring out the doorway, and there was like a black shadow that came out the wall, just going across the doorway.
That's with the scientist. And then the scientist gets physically affected.
No, this is
like
when
him.
he was laying on the bed, and he had.
That's what I'm talking about. That's the last 30 minutes of it.
All right, so the thing that made me laugh the most was one of the cameramen when we went back to the hotel, who was like kicking in the door and he was like screaming at the elevator.
Yeah.
I just felt the part was very over-scripted, like very highly over-scripted.
So his reactions were giving me goosebumps. That's why I knew that was real.
The only reactions I got that I was kind of like, it might be real, was before he got in the hallway. When they had him in the room, and he was like mumbling to himself and overly agitated. Like, that felt a little, like, normal. Like, you know, like if you've had a bad day at work and, you know, you're going through stuff, if somebody says something to you a certain way, you know, you're already at your last nerve. And so I was like, all right, I can see that. But he comes out the hotel room and he's like, yeah, I'm going to kick your ass. And he's like yelling at the elevator. There's nothing in there. Right. You know, and Zak's kind of like...
He's seeing whatever he said he was seeing.
Possibly. We don't know that for sure.
No, because you have... So that's
because
the hard
you know
part,
why?
right?
You know why?
It's his own experience.
Because they show the freaking goat man going into the elevator as a clip. So inside your head, you're like, hey, there's a goat guy inside the elevator he's yelling at. No, it was just the edited clip of him going...
And they didn't start... So he shows that same image he used in the beginning when he calls the entity what he wants to call it. And then you don't see that again.
What's the name again?
Goat man. Goat figure. Two things.
Go figure.
And then he doesn't show it again until that guy gives the description of it. And then his key to showing it more was the fact that he said he had a dream
He kept talking about the dream, yeah.
Yeah, because the dream was the connection.
Goat man coming down the steps again.
He's like, how is this guy having an experience about something that I only saw myself and I didn't say anything about?
I don't. That's like if I wanted to go edit film, and we were somewhere outside or something like that, and we're talking about Sam Squinch, Sasquatch, whoever, you know, Bigfoot, and then all of a sudden I slip in a film of, you know. Like that would be the same thing, and just slowly walk, and then it's red screen behind
that's the
him.
funny thing. There's Bigfoot shows doing that.
I know, but that's how he did that movie.
They're gonna talk about catching a footprint in the sand, and they poured the cement in it. They're not showing their own cement and the catch of the footprint itself, and they'll show these images of someone from the 80s.
Like that looks like
instead of their own. Well, we want to see their own. They're talking about having their own, and they're not showing their own. It's someone else's from the 80s.
It's like, man, that's a NASA photo from somebody stepping on the moon. It's not even Sasquatch.
It's like Shaq's-sized foot with way too wide fat toes.
Size 52.
Like this size 36, you know.
He had. It's a high up there number.
Oh, yeah. I think Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's foot is the biggest. But don't quote me on that.
I watched basketball. I played basketball. I coached basketball. I never knew any of the athletes' foot sizes. So that's something new.
He's famous, though, right? So he's in The Game of Death, Bruce Lee.
That's from the 70s.
Right. And that was probably the height of his career.
Did you say it was something new?
He didn't have no.
Oh, okay.
He didn't have this disorder he has now. So
he's also way older.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but in end results, I would say that Zak has always been kind of a fishy person, and Ghost Adventures has hit a limit of 20-some seasons, and I'm just tired of scrolling down Discovery Plus, and every single row has 2 or 3 things with Ghost Adventures' face on it. I'm like, let somebody else have a turn.
Portals to Hell is on there, you know. Ghost of Shepherdstown and the second one is on there.
But how much crap of Ghost Adventures do you have to go through?
Ghost Hunters is on
Tiger
there.
Island. Oh, hey, that one time they went to a hotel, they made a whole extra $5 movie bin selection of that just to show the documentary.
I think it's because you watched Ghost Adventures first. I went on there looking for the old seasons.
You scroll down all of
Ghost Hunters.
It's like Zak's gelled hair face is on everything. Like, oh, swamp people. And I keep going. Oh, Portals to Hell. I keep going. Oh, why is Nick all the way at the bottom of the screen? Wonder who did that.
So, like, the connection to him and what happened to him physically with his eyes, where he has to wear prism lenses, which is why he picks those the weird plastic frames like I have. Mine are a little fatter than yours.
So you're telling me somebody smacks him and turns into Velma?
No, so this was this is a week or two after him still trying to finish, I guess, the end part of the documentary, where he's got to wear these glasses, and he shows the X-rays of where this weird white parts on the outside of the bones where his temples are, making pressure where if he didn't have this surgery, he would become forever cross-eyed. And then something with the surgery where if he didn't have it, one of the veins would be either cause him death or cause him to be blind. And he was spazzing out over the blind part. I don't want to be blind. I don't want to be blind. You know, I wouldn't either though. But
that almost sounds like it's turning into Bubbles, Trailer Park Boys. I swear, if I turn on, if I'm like, you know what, let me give Ghost Adventures another shot just for the hell of it. Turn on at season 45 and he turns and hits that camera and he's got Coke bottle glasses and his eyes as crossed as a bat. I might actually stick around and watch it because, you know, if Zach is Zach with that, you know, somebody's like, hey, shut up, and just cross-eyed his eye. Yeah, I'd watch that.
See, but he doesn't bring up his own personal thing with that until the scientist that he was using. So the scientist has like the worst thing happen to him.
That was a weird thing. Yeah, that was the only thing that
causes all of his organs in this weird, like, slow cascading failure.
It would have happened in like a day after or 2 days after he was at the house.
He like started having uncontrollable vomiting and stuff. And this is after him standing in the doorway and walking away from it where they catch this. To what I saw personally, it was like a weird like shadow coming alive and it was trying to come out and reach for him or float near him and go inside him or on him. But they were saying to them it looked like a hand reaching out for him and then it backed away.
Is exactly why we always pray before we go in and we pray when we leave and we try and protect ourselves. I mean, we have, I don't have any on me, but like you've got bracelets on with crystals. So we do some of the Reiki stuff. I've got, you know, quartz and stuff like that at home. Sometimes I'll bring clear quartz just because you want to block out stuff. Not everybody believes in that stuff. We do somewhat. You kind of want to protect yourself the best you can, or with what you know, because of crap like that.
Situations like that.
Yeah, because we have gone to some places where I feel like if we didn't do that, we would have been harmed more, or things would have happened worse. We've had stuff come home with us when we were younger because we didn't do that kind of stuff. I mean, throughout life, us being able to see things, you know, you can walk down the street and see something staring at you or watching you, or, you know, it's almost like we have targets on our back. You know, we grew up Christians. Yeah. We see things. We have gifts of being able to see in the paranormal or feel or sense things, and I feel like that always has a target on our back.
Yeah,
yeah. You know? So that's why
being sensitive, regardless of what you can and can't see, already makes you a bug light for bugs. Yeah, is the only way I can describe it.
But if they do, they're nervous with us too.
And then with gifts and stuff, it just turns your bug light bigger, and that makes them madder at you.
Well, it's because a lot of stuff I've seen in the spiritual world, and the most common light of it is basically you'll see something, and it'll be like, oh crap, it sees me. You can actually see him in my area, but it just kind of sits there and it watches you. Yeah. You know, like watches to see what you're going to do or how much you can pick. Yeah, trying to figure out. You know, because sometimes you'll see things and it'll be like residual. Yeah. People walk around doing this, or you've got...
like you're watching a window in time.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
You're watching a person's routine, their day-to-day or whatever.
And then you go to the extended version of it, which is violent spirits or demons, things happening, like you getting scratched, touched, smacked, you hear whispers in your ear, manipulation, like your name is called, stuff like that. So you have those three, in my opinion. You have the, you know, human spirits or whatever, where it's residual, it's just whatever happened back then, people doing their day-to-day stuff. And then you kind of skip to the paranormal side, where it's not just spirits, but it's almost like lesser demons or demons themselves that you're kind of like staring at each other in a shootout type thing, but nobody's going to do anything. And then you have the other side of it where shit's getting real and it's hitting the fan and it's coming after you.
Like layers in an onion, basically. Yeah. And a lot of times the second or the third layer is the reason why the first layer is happening with the residual.
But I feel like, for me at least, there's been quite a bit of handfuls of times where stuff has come at me. I get touched a lot. I don't like it. Yeah. But, there's more of the, hey, I see you, you see me, and that's it. That's where I don't even see friendly spirits that much, or the residual stuff. If anything, I hear it more, but I don't see it. Yeah. I see more of the, hey, I see you, you see me, and I don't know what
that's the only time I get freaked out or more excited is when I'm seeing, like, what I say is a remnant of time. Because, I don't want to get into a lot of details with what I see, but it's most of the time all the negative. And if they're real bad, it's like they're pressing against my face, yelling in my face. And up to just like recently, the last couple of years, they were on mute, but now I get to hear what they're trying to yell at me.
Because you open yourself back up again.
Yeah.
But I think that's another reason why I can't really, I like messing with Zach versus Nick. Like, I take Nick's side more because you can see that he actually experiences, he sees things, whether he talks about it or not. Yeah. But Zach, you could tell he 100% does not see shit. Yeah. And a lot of
he feels it and spazzes out about the goosebumps.
Yeah, he might get it's over here. But that's just the normal, hey,
once in a while something gets thrown at him, and that's when he really freaks out.
Yeah.
Or the whisper that catches his ear.
Yeah, which that
shows the excitement behind stuff.
I mean, that still freaks me out when that happen.
You know what, though? There's a lot of times where he gets all the negative stuff. He gets the thing manipulating him. Yeah. And sometimes it's an act, but sometimes you can tell when it's real. Yeah. Like, his facial features will change. Or he has a reaction like he wants to do the opposite of what he's... So he's supposed to be nice with the best friend that he's known for years, but he's trying to lunge at him. Yeah. And you can catch him stopping himself.
Drained and stuff like that. Because, I mean...
That happens a lot with him, and that's one thing you can't prove.
That happens a lot with me.
You can't prove.
That happened with you at Petersburg.
Yeah. You gotta know the person it's happening to or with, but it's not something you can document. It's not... You can't get that on video.
Like, anytime that you've been personally with me and I had an attachment or something was drawing my energy away from me or manipulating or whatever you want to call it in that time. And from what you've told me, it's always been every emotion is wiped away. I'm tired, I'm lethargic. I'm just kind of staring off into space and I don't really talk much about stuff and I'm just there for the walk type thing. And so you could tell when I'm going through stuff. Yeah. You're more of the either you stop in your tracks or you get a little attitude-ish. Like you're done, you've had enough, you want to go home. So it's like we've been doing this so long, I could tell how you are. And I feel like they know that too, but Zach, he did some weird stuff, man. Like when was it Demon House where he walked with a guy and he was like,
yeah, the lunge, and he's done that.
Like he did it with the hand though, and it was just so weird how he did it. And then there was the one time I think he lunged at the scientist, and
he does it his whole body. And he's like,
his back was turned to him though, and that's what made me snicker and laugh, like, because he just like a fake push up and then walked off. And I sat there and watched it. And I was like, what?
So I have goosebumps in the witness right now thinking about saying this, but like the one thing I just remembered the scientist found in the basement that could have been the effect that was affecting Zach in the beginning. He talks about after the EMF spike happens kind of like it's transient, which means it's moving on its own. So it was only in one spot. It wasn't above. It wasn't below. It was right at where his waist or Zach's waist was, but 2 to 3 feet in front of them. And then he started hearing dogs barking. And then Zach and the camera guy confirms, we got the dogs barking on the camera. And sure enough, they replay it 3 times like they do on the show. And you hear dogs. And then Zach trying to talk over the fact that he should probably play it a 4th time to make sure it sounds like a dog. And turn up the volume all the way on whatever sound editing he's doing. He's trying to talk and say, so this is the connection right here where I was having dogs bark at me in my dream in the beginning. Yeah. And then all of a sudden he goes, well, the dogs are barking, the scientist. The dogs are barking, and scans with the EMF detector again And this time, the transient mark on the EMF detector is happening on Zak Bagans, which is supposed to be right before he has that reaction where he wants to do this.
Yeah.
That's the part that got me. Because in old wives' tales, the point I was trying to make, was that before something happens spiritually, negatively or positively, whether there is dogs on the property or there's no dogs, you will have the reaction of like a group of dogs barking or having a reaction like you're hearing them howling.
Getting?
Yeah. Something's about to happen or something is happening. You can't physically see it yet. I'm barking now. Or it's worse when there is no dogs in the neighborhood.
And you
don't own any dogs and you hear the barking, which was what was going on with them. One, they're in a basement, which is about a 7-foot room. So the ceiling was 7 feet high. And it's thick concrete. It's the cinder block with this cement mortar in the center.
Yeah.
So it's thick walls.
Thick floor, yeah.
You shouldn't be able to hear it, let alone the fact that the neighborhood had no dogs and they don't have any dogs.
Which I've had that feeling before too, a lot. So animals mess with us a lot. You know, I mean, we have it on film. We were at Midlothian Coal Mines. The rabbit scared the crap out of us.
Oh man,
we had that was funny. And we've actually been at Midlothian Coal Mines. We had it to where we had the white rabbit incident to where
it's trying to lead you somewhere or something.
So I was walking down the trail and I stopped because out of nowhere, out of the blue, just behind a tree. I've never seen one in real life before, ever, except in the movies. The white rabbit, red beady little eyes, you know, Monty Python, Holy Grail. But it popped out and it just kind of looked at me and I stopped in my tracks and I was just amazed. We're pitch black, like you can't see nothing out there and you see this white rabbit just pop out of the woods.
Almost like it had a spotlight on it too, so you could see it.
It was very luminescent, you know, and it started walking up the little trail and I was like intrigued, so I followed it. And where it walked up, you guys started following me too, and it went to a hole where the ground fell in and they had it fenced off, but it was so overgrown, we never knew that existed. So that was another explosion site.
Yeah,
and that rabbit led us to it, and then it walked up the fence, and then it disappeared. Almost
way before they found it. So
Yeah.
that means it let you know about something that they didn't know right away. That several years later, because there was a gap where we didn't just go at all, and they extended the fence.
Yeah, it wasn't even a fence
where
that
the
went
building
around
is
it. It
now.
was just a fence that kind of went down a little bit.
Yeah, now it's like these thick
They don't
rebar,
like it, yeah,
like
But
an
no,
official fence for the park, because they made it an official park too. So.
which is why we think there's Native American ties there too, because there was the other time that I was like, man, I gotta pee really bad, and so I went off in the woods on my own. I said, hey, I'll be right back, and I stood on this mound thing, like almost like they were digging somewhere, so they put all the dirt in a certain area.
Yeah.
I was kind of standing on that, and I started, and all of a sudden I hear this growl down below it, like the hill, and I look down, and it's this wolf with red eyes, like staring at me and growling. And then, now that I'm thinking of it, kind of getting goosebumps. The whole skinwalker situation.
Yeah.
We talked about that being there in that area. I was like, if I met that thing head on, then, by the way, after I saw that growling at me, I was like, oh, all right, cool. And just kind of, I never did that again, out of respect. And I thought I was just peeing in the woods. I didn't think that it was, I wasn't pissing on a grave, I wasn't doing anything disrespectful. But whatever that thing was, did not like me doing what I did. So, I apologized. And actually, I started praying as soon as I saw it. Because my goosebump radar, spiritual, whatever, went off and said there's something right now that's getting ready to happen. It's going to be, like, sinister. And I heard that growl, and I mean, every goosebump on my body went up. And I saw the eyes next, and then I saw the hair truffles, and I was like, oh, okay, all right, cool.
And that happened to you. That happened to you before the weird experience where, like, a Native American medicine man was in you or something, or you.
I had
You were talking what sounded like Native American, and you were drawing. Inside the trail, the road itself, and you were making like Native American symbols. You even had made their compass, trying to show us the direction, but you're speaking a Native American language.
Yeah. No,
I mean, it sounded like what.
I remember you telling me about that.
Yeah, the Powhite Native Americans in Virginia would use to talk to people from the north, which is Algonquin.
And that's so I haven't really told that story, but anytime that something has taken me over to where I didn't have control was at Midlothian Coal Mines, and it happened a handful of times.
Nowhere else, right?
I think maybe one other time, but that was more of a demented thing. But this was more of I did not have control, but it was a kind spirit.
Yeah.
And it felt like to me, shaman, medicine man, the good medicine man shaman, not the skinwalker. But that happened there. And I don't remember. I remember walking around as if I was on a roller coaster.
Right.
I was just kind of going up and down and wherever it took me.
Mm-hmm. But it's like a dream state.
It was like a dream state. And
Gotcha.
that's the only thing I remember.
So that means it wasn't even letting you drive in your own eyes.
I don't remember what I wrote. I don't remember what I did. I don't remember.
I remember you physically wrote a phrase, but then the biggest part that I memorized, obviously, was you drawing the compass that they would use in areas so that they wouldn't get lost. It was kind of like a marker to know where they are on their land. And it would be the transition between...
You showed me some of the stuff.
Yeah.
I think you took pictures.
They use this symbol for the transition of where hunting grounds are and where the area is for them to like sleep and have an encampment for a family or their whole group.
The only thing I remember, and it's because you showed me after, was the design for protection. And I think I did that in sticks or something like that. It was like the Y, but it was like a rune. So at least that's what I thought it was. But yeah, no, I mean, so that stuff does happen.
Yeah.
Sometimes it goes more than just how you feel or emotions being played with. Sometimes you are on a roller coaster. And I don't know, seeing kind of where we were going back to with the animal stuff.
Yeah.
With Zach and everything. I was trying to remember how we tied that in together. We kind of went on a whole different side story.
Our own little tangent.
Yeah, no, which it happens. You were saying something about the animals, but no, we get a lot of that stuff with us that happens.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the biggest one was
I don't know if it's drawn to us or what.
Hollywood Cemetery and the weird
But the dogs. I'm sorry, you were talking about the dogs barking. In the
dogs
background.
barking is.
That's what I was trying to bring up. The whole thing is animals mess with us to the point where we've seen rabbits and wolves and heard growls and things next to us, and I've heard dogs howl in the background. You have too. I've been there with you when it happens, and you're like, hellhound, or is that just a dog, or and I believe we've been a couple places to where we heard a dog growling behind us.
Yeah.
And there's nothing there.
So I mean, for me, I've always been doing researching with certain paranormal phenomenon themselves and kind of make connections with them. And like the obsession for me was still trying to do it, but looking into one entity or a few entities that make up the whole of the phenomenon behind Slenderman and Skinwalker. Because I want to say certain things happen in certain areas of the United States that can't happen in other locations based just on the area.
And if you want, we can go in depth in a podcast one day about either Skinwalkers or Slenderman and
the phenomenon,
the cryptids and all that kind of stuff, because that'd be cool to talk about.
Yeah.
But I think that there's a lot of stuff going on right now in the paranormal realm with celebrities and the Ghost Ventures crew and Zach himself personally.
Yeah.
I don't know how it's going to get changed out. I don't know if he's going to stay king forever or if somebody's going to humble him and people are going to get their shot with the YouTube channel stuff. So you're going to see Nick and grow with his wife and do something great. And you're going to see Destination Fear probably do something cool. If the guy from he goes to Shepherdtown, if he decides to do his thing, I'm sure, I think you might see a lot more shows popping up here in the future, very soon. And I think the YouTube guys that are already famous are going to probably help them along the way too. So
Yeah.
because it's all about networking. I mean, the whole realm of paranormal is about networking. And like I said, we've already met a bunch of people.
For everything like that, you know, like a lot of your work can't stay negative.
Yeah.
You know,
Build, don't destroy.
You have to use positive stuff.
Yeah.
You all are on the same team essentially. If you call yourself a paranormal investigator, there's other people saying they're a paranormal investigator. So the minute someone finds a piece of whatever, allow them to put that out. So you scrutinize it, pick it apart like a scientist would, and then if it is something substantial, allow it to make the field bigger and brighter.
Which, you know what? Speaking on that, it's like there are a few people in the negative light where it's somebody who's like Zach, who's controlling in his element, and then you have people to where like you and I could be like, hey, this is our story, and then be like, that's not true. That's not this. It's like you don't know. You haven't been in our shoes. You haven't lived our life.
Right.
This is our story. And you have people that will try and criticize or put you down, or it's not real, or blah, blah, blah. I'm like, that's cool if that's your opinion, that's your feeling, you know. But
we're all entitled to opinions.
Yeah, and what's weird is like it's still paranormal people that are doing that. So, you know, they could say, hey, I see spirits walking around looking like somebody from the Civil War. And so they expect everybody to see that, or it's not true if you see it as the Loch Ness Monster instead. So everybody has different opinions, and people see things different, and it's kind of like Facebook groups that we're in, you know, like the abandoned houses or paranormal sightings. People all day long will post selfies. Hey, check out this face next to me in the mirror, or hey, check out this face in the window, and you can look at it and be like,
half the time that's a phenomenon called matrixing.
Yeah, could be.
Where, you know, your shapes that the mind perceives wants to have something recognizable, so it'll try to put those shapes together in the form of a face.
Yeah.
Or in the form of something else.
They're trying to
and see something that may not be there.
Yeah. But we will leave you with the controversy on the fact of you can hear our conversation and pick parts if you want, or go look into it yourself, or, you know, you can always put in the comments what you think, or how you feel about Ghost Adventures, or where it's going, or even what shows you're excited for that might be coming up. Hopefully,
and I don't
part of it.
I don't want to make it seem like I'm speaking negatively of them. Yeah. I love the show.
I don't hate them.
The documentary for me has a lot of things in there that I could still pick apart or say more that are valid for the fact that I had a witness. From my opinion, it's believable.
Yeah.
It was serious. The matter had something happen that is real, that did happen. So a lot of people got affected, had things that physically got documented on paper, and the papers kept at places where you could do research and find where that person is now, or find out what it was that happened to them.
Yeah.
So.
No, yeah, I don't hate the guy, but I prefer to do things the way I've done it, just like most investigators probably, and I like the whole build, not destroy networking situation.
Because I mean, like if you got a situation going on, I don't want to push you away. You might have a different experience that can teach me something. I can learn from
or
their
I can teach you something too.
Yeah.
So it's
you don't want to push them away or stop them from doing something, because all it's doing is helping you.
Or it's
if you allow them to do something, you help them.
It's kind of like how you and I help each other out too. Like sometimes I'll see things in a different light, and you can explain it to me in a way I've never heard of or thought of, or we can connect pieces together. That's why we work well, you know. But now, if you want, comment down below the video and let us know what you think about what's going on. We just wanted to chit chat about it. Him and I have been talking about it personally, and he had a lot to say about it. So I said, why not, talk about it in a podcast? So we're gonna go ahead and leave you with this. I think we've been going on for a while now about it, and we have a big day tomorrow. We're gonna go do that abandoned house.
Yep.
And weather permitting, of course. So we'll leave you with that. But again, if you don't know, I'm Greg.
I'm Chris.
This is the Shadows Abound podcast for the paranormal world, and we hope to see you on the next one.
See you on the next one, guys.